Okay.
Does that mean we're not?
Okay. Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to the FaB Festival. Thank you to everybody who viewed our exquisite corpse this morning. This is our second round of CO.LAB sound live performances today. And I would like to introduce Dr. Camilla Nelson. She's a British language artist, small press publisher and creative programmer and freelance academic. Her work explores materiality of language, page-based poetry, sound work, installation and performance. The piece she's about to perform is a yarn air narrative. It started as a life kind of paper trail, an installation, approximately 20 site-specific pages, paper fragments constructed out of responses to particular sites. Later stages from the decay were exhibited in Amy Cutler's Time, and The Deer is in the Woods, Halig and St. John's Belfry, London. A yarn air narrative now exists in print and a sound work in live performance. So I'm going to hand it over to Camilla and we will let the performance begin.
Yeah. Narrative. Prologue. Curves. Fools. Articulate a wind-warped underlay. Oh, oh, oh. So, foundling. Animal track. Foxtrot. 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 Animal track. Animal track. Animal track. Fox. Trot. Native blue bloods and other blueberry bylaws. Help! Ward off. Oh! Berry stock of luck for lustly sale. Heed my advice. Heed my advice from Ercassier. Grow Yankee Doodle into town. Become American. Here's not so far from yonder. Forget your protein. Fruit, good eating. Trend a of hedgerow medicine to foliate your ankles. Black hearts, red flesh, stains blue. Bilberry bears eating. Speaks on the side of her Waterbury looks. Witchy went ground. Huh. Winbury wines is always drunk. Winbury rolls down hill. Winbury's blown by every gust he meets. Myrtle and Thrawn are frongness. Badger. Great Scott. The only pine to return to these felled when the moon was and rides a return to inhabit the northern margin, retreat, deplete after the Ice Age. Pine so strong, spits flame badly. Retreats to the margins, doubles back badly. Pine so soft, double spaced badly. Recolonize the center, spread sapling seed again. Mark your margin. Island, a needlepoint story here in my arm. Bleed your blackberry soft song. Sap song. Soft, strong. Sap song. Here in my arm. Animal track, foxtrot, animal track, foxtrot. Darwin, darling, throw another. Durston. Here lie, here lie, here lie, here lies Commander. His heart would resist penetration. One midsummer storm on account of his height, and the hairs was underleaf. He finally fell. Acorn split to sow the seed, sacred to the gods of thunder. This and the straight, close grain of flavour. Grain of flavour. Gain, grain, grain of flavour. Gained by the spirit in construction, iron smelting, shipbuilding, and furniture made it seem inevitable. Cecily Flora unpedunculate, sex ambiguous, polishes the inner lining of a barrel, freed from bark by grain of unreadable as mind, sewn softly into wind, weaves rain, holds hard to impress veins. And articulates a quercus oak, a Latin includes deciduous latitudes native to the northern hemisphere, spirally arranged nerve marches that won't drop dead till spring, and flowers thrill to mourn their falling. Catkins, cupules, cups, casks, barrels. In need of polishing. Fugaceae micromorphs laying down time and leaf, bark, branch, an inconvenience to all who wish to read this clade conceptual, easy-eyed classified, spoken out with progressive anthropology. Flowers an enclosure, fruits a pattern of hybrid introgression. Come along, Quercus. We're waiting for you. Your challenging labial morphology, as clear as your genetic pool, and the abominable mystery of flowers. Badger, badger. The return of the Birken, Bereg, Birken, Birken, Bereg shines all bright, serrate, feathered, petulate, stipulate, a lateral gathering of leaves in pairs, spur-like branchlet fruit, Samara catkinus, winged helicoptera without a gap in it. A simply indehiscent fruit, airy aggregate of cells, long horizons form long horizons, form long, long, long horizons, long horizon, long, long horizons form dark lines to breathe within the bark. Gymnospores with naked seeds bypass the birch leaf, an unclosed condition. Bring back, bring back, bring back, bring back the is once birch. Beat me to it. Beat me to it. Beat me to it. Beat me to it. Beat me me to it. Beep, beep. Birch, beat me to it. Further in, the heartwood stem, rachis, spinal, column, axis, shaft. Further in. Further in. Cameo. Sharpen your razor for this hoof-shaped expansion. Hoof, 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 shaped expansion, woodlouse, shelter, subglobose, fragment, marginal fruit body, long tubes, smell pleasant, taste bitter, poor circular, antibiotic used to isolate. I saw poison the whipworm, cut velvet, harbour moths, bean-shaped spore expands to hoof, 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 a birch polypore, rubber so smooth, so sharpen your razor. Hazel, hornbeam, hornbeam, horn, no, 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 no. Hornbeam are all cousins, as are beech and oak. Short-lived, woodland pioneer, leaves no room for relatives. Betty, 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 Betty. Betty feeds me Lepidoptera, feeds on foliage, betula, betcha, betcha bottom dollar, Betty, 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 Betty feeds me. More moths for mouths, please. Betty, 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 feed me, Betty, feed me, feed me, feed me, Betty. Close grain satin on, feed me, Betty, feed me. Acid, if not suppressed. Produce a fine polish, threaten heathland, grow weed-like, rampant, convert to birch, sap, tap, wine, birch, sap, tap, wine, get drunk and fight. Peel pores, tan leather, grow wildfire. Slow burn on the poorest of soils, charcoal for thorns. And the finer points of Oh. Shiny leaf. Lenticel pause, breathe. Gas, gas, paper, bypass the periderm, stoma, paper, breathe. An armory of resinous oils resists. For hooks, for hooks, for hooks, for hooks, fox, 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 animal, track, foxtrot, animal. Streaming narrative. Trendlebeer down, swallows water, behind metal railings. Reservoir. Logical to drop, 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 drop. Drop a line, drop a line, drop a line, drop a line. Logical to drop a line, to scream a narrative from and through the wood. Bobby Tracy, pottery built on fallen folly. Once a enter. Yana, failing Becky. Further, further and further and further and further and further and further downstream, and immediately below the pottery beat leaves Woodcock Stream. Retaining right angles, walls stream southwards. Once lost, follow east. Dam remains complete or breached. Abandoned line leaves stream. Elite follows contour left through sluice and penstock, seeping groundwater to Bovey. Elite. The drain unsteady, a leaf, elite, a leaf, elite, a leaf, elite. The drain unsteady, a leaf, a leaf, a leaf enters the stream. Elite, 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 a leaf enters the stream. Elite you enter. Elite, the drain unsteady, a leaf enters the stream. Elite you enter, rushes past the stream. You enter, screaming narrative. Trails between rocks and stones, seeps downstream, rests in the hoofprints of ponies, refusing to budge until passerby steps in. One stream after another, conscious of nothing other than water running between your hands, your feet. Feel the narrative through the soles of your booted feet. Matter. The way you walk. Matter. animal, foxtrot, foxtrot, animal, some stone tones in Carboniferous shales, you're in. Some stone tones in your Carboniferous shales, you're in, shame on you. You're in your ears, shame on you. Your ears, unglaciated uplands in your large granite surface, ears in your sandstone, limestone, slate, you're in your tors, clitters, slopes, quarries, caves, ears, turn me. Tumbled here. Liquid ear. Permian batholith, stones in your massive intrusion. Liquid here. Forms aureole, turns me to mind volcanic. Stones in your trundle beer, here in your sessile, unpedunculate. Your bark is grey, but nobody will tell me why your heart is sore. Oh, so viciously inside your breast. You cannot hear the traffic here. Nobody will tell me what the lichen rust is. No one other than a mildew powder. Powder. Why is it? You are old and fungal tired. There is a silence that stores time. Your skin sinks solid. Ring, 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 rings. To frill a mouth, umbilical, vaginal, I, you, open to envelop. Speech hurts sound, and when I take a sample, question, answer, in a plastic bag, you white, turn black against me. No, trk, trk, no, trk, settle, go, Mycena inclinata, clustered bonnet, mushroom, mushroom, many-hatted giraffe skull. It is. Giraffe skull is a squat oak seat for mushrooms, inclined to expand round clone, conical to bell-shaped, bonnet with a prominent umbo, striate towards the centre, delicately scalloped edge and marginal overhang with dark bay gills and horses nearby. Here, me, stem appears, whitish, apex, deepens to darken. Whitish, apex, deepens to darken. Stem appears, whitish apex, deepens to darken at the center. Fine down covers the base and neck. Flesh, thin, whitish, margin, darker towards, words, towards the word striate. Apex, gills, adnate, whitish, spores becoming flesh, ovoid, amyloid, spore print, becoming white, filiform, irregular processes becoming white flesh, habitats, dense tufts, an oaky stump in late summer, autumn is common enough. Inedible, too small and rancid. Inedible, too small, too small, too small, too small and rancid to eat. Your hat, too small to eat. Too small your hat, too small to eat your hat, is not worth eating. The apex is covered in words. In words, your hat is white and ready to wear and rancid enough to eat for anyone in summer to habitat here. On this giraffe skull, fungus growth grows lustrous towards the center. Bile for eating, trial for eating. Umbrella me bile for the margin, bile for the margin. Try it, stray at the margin is white, inedible, and hatless. Badger!
And that is the end of the performance. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna do a little quick Q&A with Camilla. So I see I've had a few questions starting to come in. Hello! If anybody has any comments or questions, I'm currently looking at the Facebook live stream, so you're welcome to put any questions there. Amazing, great job. We have one question to start off with, but I think it might be good to start off with, do you want to give a little bit more background in your practice and a little bit more background in the piece?
Sure, yeah. Well, thank you very much for everyone who joined in our little makeshift sort of theatre studio here. The words that you saw projected behind were basically they're an amalgamation of all of the physical pages that I created, that were placed in the wood, in Yana wood. So initially this piece was commissioned by Karen Pearson for an outdoor exhibition in Yana wood in Dartmoor and Devon. And I went around the wood and had a look at everything that was growing there in all of its variety, whether it was mushrooms, ants, mosses, trees, plants, animals, all of the things that you've just heard. And any sites of interest, I collected samples, as one of the pieces said, in a plastic bag. And so for each site had a particular plastic bag with physical samples from that site. And then I researched that site. I took photographs, I researched it and thought about its geology, the way that its soil was made up, like what the plant was, learned, sort of plundered all the kind of strange plant etymologies that that you heard there as well. And so for each site made a site specific poem out of all of those researchers, all of that research, and then kind of cut up fragments of that and pulped it with the physical materials and remade a page from it. So if you imagine, like, it's almost like a great big bathtub full of, for example, for site one materials plus pulped materials of the poem, and then you remake the page. So you put your paper making mesh in and you bring it up, and that page was an amalgamation of physical and words and everything from that site. And then I would take each site specific page, put them back where I got them from, and then they were there in space for the exhibition. And afterwards, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks, and I documented them decomposing, and then we had to take the remnants away. So I carried on documenting that, and the words that you can see in my book, which is here, well, the words that you could see kind of in the thing. So this is the book by Contraband. It's reversible. So you have sort of normal text on one half, and then the other half you have examples of the sort of fallen apart composted pages. And so the idea, sorry, this is taking a long while to explain, the idea is that in the sonic performance, I read together this process of kind of composting and decomposition that you saw in the background, of words falling apart, of kind of organisms falling apart. I read that process of decay through the text. So some words fall apart, others remain intact. So that's the idea behind the performance.
Amazing. I think it's our lovely friend Nadia Berry, who is also working with us. She had a really great comment as you were performing, saying she was immersed and blown away by the energy, and was asking kind of where that spoken word comes from and where the interest in spoken word comes from, in that process.
Well, I'm really interested in, I mean, I feel like I need to sort of expand my sort of go-to comments, but I really see my practice as continuous with the kind of fluxus happenings sort of thing, writing practices that came out of the like 50s, 60s, 70s. In London, there was a big kind of gathering of language artists that were interested in those kind of processes, and Bob Cobbing really kind of was one of the key figures in that, and the forum was called Writers Forum. So there are lots of really amazing poets and performers, like Maggie O'Sullivan has a huge influence on me. Similarly, she does a lot of she includes visuals in her text, and she visually arranges the text. So that idea of thinking about language as material, both in a physical written form, whether that's in the book, whether that's installed outside. You know, I've done like writing into apples outside and looking at how the apples grow and sort of decompose and fall apart, like thinking about whether it's physically or through our breath, thinking about language as something that is malleable and changing and shifting, and animate, I suppose, animate and kind of dependent upon this kind of material way of being. That for me springs out of what was happening in that kind of a time. But there's a very, very vibrant like avant-garde community in the poetry world now where they're exploring a lot of that stuff. So yeah, so I'm influenced by all of them really.
The way you kind of use decay and I guess even the change of language and the meaning of words in a language over time is a really interesting kind of thing to be playing with as well. Have you always kind of used projection and some sort of visual installation in the work, or is that something that kind of came out with this piece?
That just literally, that was a kind of, I did a practice yesterday. This is my first ever like online performance. And I was just like, I just even getting my head around like having to like put makeup on to open your computer is a bit of a weird one. So it's taken quite a while for me to get my head around what I would actually need and what a digital performance would look like. And initially I kind of played around with having some of my other vocal performances running, and I would sort of play with that because it seemed a bit flat. I mean, I have no idea how this seems to other people now, but as I was practicing, I was sort of thinking I need something a little bit more, and I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to contextualize that sense of kind of decay beforehand. So I just thought, you know what, I've always wanted to work with projection, and it is something I'd really like to take forward and explore more. But this felt like quite an easy way of just the one image just like projected over, and then you're kind of, you know, you're working with those words. So it just felt like the right moment to try it. But it was nice. I enjoyed it. I don't know how everybody else felt about it, but it was nice.
Well, that's actually really exciting. Kind of, it's been a weird shift having to move the festival and online, and for us to kind of adapt to this collaborative way of working online. But it's good that you kind of found it as a chance to open up your practice a bit more and experiment with what we can do from home.
I mean, more broadly, I found myself wondering, like, you know, because it feels like this is going to be a little bit the new norm. You know, I doubt this is going to go away totally. So I found myself wondering, are we all going, all of us performers, are we all going to have to sort of designate little kind of performance areas in our houses that are kind of makeshift sets for us ready to go? So it's interesting, as you say, it's interesting how it opens up different parts of our performance.
A little home studio will take on a completely different meaning. I think one thing we got talking about this morning from the Exquisite Corpse is kind of the way of engaging online. And I don't think the fact that, you know, we're watching a live streamed video of the performance kind of brought us out of it in any way. I was kind of really sucked in and focused on kind of the story you were weaving, and I think it worked really beautifully as well. We've have another comment in. A few comments have just really enjoyed it, great performance, really made a connection with the audience.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Have you found the transition to online difficult, or do you feel like it's something you're going to experiment with a little bit more?
I have to say, I was really amazed by certain performers who just like came straight out of the box, like, you know, immediately, like two friends and fantastic performers in their own right, like Ollie Evans and Iris Colomb, like they immediately just started making masses of work or just performing, and were very at ease with that. And I don't know whether if that's because they already had a kind of digital relationship or practice, I don't know, but for me it felt like, oh my god, the world has just turned upside down. The last thing I want to be doing is like projecting myself. I want to like hide away. And it felt like it was going to be really, really exposing actually, but I think it's just a case of, for me, like developing the, you know, you kind of, it's weird because it's all of these tacit tacit knowledge that you build up in how to prepare a physical performance for a physical audience, and you get used to that, and that's fine, and you kind of relax into that whole process. But I think just the fact of never ever having done this before, and it's like coming from my own home, like how can you make your own home seem like a cool zingy stage, you know, that isn't just a sort of domestic sphere with your washing up in the corner there and, you know, like banana peelings or whatever. Like it's just a bit of a weird shift. So I initially, it took me a while to get my head around it, but as I was preparing for this, I was like, oh, okay, you just have to put certain strategies in place, certain processes that you go through. And what really, I mean, I don't know how many people actually were able to see it, but one of the things that I felt as a rural artist living in a very small town in like on the Wiltshire Somerset border is I felt so much more involved in the cultural life because I've actually been able to hear talks and to like go to talks and to watch performances in a way that I'm just not able to most of the time. So even like sending invites out to people and seeing lots of people saying, yeah, we're going to be there, because you can be there because you're just in your house. So that really kind of, yeah, I mean, it's a cliche about like hyperconnectivity, but I feel like it isn't really until now that I can see how much. I was saying to Iris yesterday, actually, like I don't want to use it. I mean, people will object to the way that I'm using it, but I kind of hadn't realized until now how actually living remotely was disabling in terms of not being able to partake in cultural events in the same way, and was isolating in a kind of cultural conversation sort of way. And now I can take part and people can see my stuff, so that's really good. Yeah, I'm really grateful for kind of having that like encouragement little push to have to do it, because I'm not sure I would have been brave enough to just do it without a kind of contextualized, curated space. So thank you, Marley.
Oh, that's great. And you know, you do make a good point, especially like because I'm based in London, it's quite easy to forget just how accessible things are, and there's something going on all the time, and you know, there's 10 different private views you can go to on a night. But you know, being more remote and not having, you know, everything on your doorstep, being able to do these things online, especially in a time where we can't be spending all of our time out and about, it does let people connect to that kind of bit of normalcy again. I think we should wrap it up. We're getting close to the end of our hour. Big thank you again. That was an amazing performance. And thank you again to everybody who was watching this afternoon.
Yeah, huge thank you. Thank you, everybody, because I know it's also, you know, and to people who watch it again as well, because I know sometimes it's difficult to like stick to the live streaming times, isn't it?
Yeah. All of the live performances will be on our exhibition page as well, so I'll be able to catch them a second time. Amazing. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you at the next performance.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.